Hello everyone. Welcome back to Lotus Chat Worldwide. And this week we're going to do a slightly different episode. We're going to talk about reclaiming rest, the anti-hustle culture. To me, it's like an apt time to really talk about anti-hustle culture. And we kind of came up with this topic because I've been noticing like even like people around me talking about how we're not just, built to work and just do this, and that, and then not incorporating rest. And the other part that I want to talk about is also, kind of unpack the emotions behind the rest, the guilt and everything. So just maybe to start us off, what do you think about this topic, Jen? Like reclaiming rest. Are we doing that right now?
I think it can be a little bit difficult to take a moment to, as you said, rest and recuperate, especially with the hustle culture that we live in. As you mentioned, that is always one where you have to be doing something all the time,
Yep.
something of substance. That's what I've heard many times is like, what are you doing for this? And what are you doing
Yeah.
for that? And what are you
Mm.
doing to get here, there, everywhere? And I don't think we ever stop to ask, the person or to ask ourselves, like, what are you doing for yourself versus like, work or, obligation or to-do lists, that become more about just getting stuff done versus
Mm.
actually doing stuff for yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, some people will say, well, what if my to-do list has stuff that I like to do for myself, right? And they're
Mm.
like, I include like, doing this, that, and the other. Then that's a great to-do list. But I know that I've been guilty many times of just putting like typical, like, I need to do A, B,
Yeah,
C,
like
D,
packing
and it's,
schedules, right?
yeah, like a schedule, right? Like between 1 and 3, I'm going to do this. Between 3 and 4, I'm going to do that. And
Yeah.
I realized that when I do that, I really take the flow out of my day. And when I take the flow out of the day, if I can feel my body getting a lot more tired than it should. And I don't think we should be at the end of the day exhausted
Mhm.
and feeling fatigued. What do you think, Zian?
Yeah, and I think sometimes work can be overwhelming, and work is a huge part of, I think, most of everyone's lives. And I think when we are just in the hustle culture, we plan our work, we plan our meetings, and then we plan our weekends, and then, when do we actually rest? And I guess what I'm really interested to get into is also like, why do you think, we get tired? Like, is it too much of everything? Like, why do we get into that mode?
It's a good question, Zian. I think the reason why we get so tired is because our minds weren't hardwired to be on all the time. And I
Yes, I
mentioned this to
agree.
somebody not too long ago, actually, when I had a discussion with them about the fact that I felt mentally exhausted after day in, day out of doing the same thing over and over. But then on top of that, having things kind of pile up on top of each other where unexpected
Mhm.
things happen and I, had to step in or, something happened at home and
Mhm.
then I had to take time for that. So it was one of those things where I started feeling like mentally I needed to just decompress and be like, okay, give me like 5-10 minutes and I will be right back. Like just give me 5-10 minutes. So I think that's why we get tired is because our minds in processing all these things, they need a break, like a battery, right? You're not going to
Yeah.
run your car battery. Speaking of my car, great
Mhm.
analogy. Like I'm not going to run my car battery for, 24 hours by leaving the light on all night and
Yes.
being like, "Well, what happened in the morning?" Like when I try to start my car and it's not starting and I'm like, "Well, because Jen, you left the light on." It's kind of
Yeah.
similar to like your mind. Like you're not going to leave the light on in your mind 24 hours a day, 7 days a week and expect it to turn on and be ready to drive the next day.
Yeah. And I also think that when we like kind of say that we want to take a break, and I
Mm-hmm.
and I recently hear this from someone that I was talking to, so that's why I kind of brought this up because when I notice that when they're taking a break, they're not really taking a break. They're kind of like scrolling on social media. They're like on TikTok videos. And yes, you can argue that, some people are taking a break by going into that. But I think when your break and rest time, the in between is also packed with even faster and images and videos of other people hustling. I think that adds to the whole, pressure that, oh, can I take the rest? Or maybe I should take rest. Or maybe then, you start to wonder, do I deserve this rest?
Mm, that's a great point. I'm glad you brought that up. Like you mentioned the guilt behind even taking a moment because you're like what about the person next to me, or what about
Yeah.
if I don't finish this, do am I really going to feel accomplished? Am I really going to feel like today was a good day because I got everything checked off my
Mm,
to-do list? Now,
mm,
for those of you out there who feel really good having those days where you're just like, I went through my to-do list from 1 to 10, I feel
mm.
good, I accomplished everything. I do the same thing. I've got a post-it note with to-do lists. I've got notebooks with I get it, the feeling of accomplishment you can get from that. But if within that time you notice that most of it was just like work related or
Yeah.
something related to a task that
Mm,
wasn't necessarily about taking a
mm.
walking your dog. And I will say this too, when it comes to social media, some of us do find going and looking at cat videos and really cute babies as a
And
form
very
of rest,
therapeutic.
right? Because
Yes.
then you're like, oh, this is so cute. And it takes my mind off of the busyness and the stress that my to-do
Yeah.
list can
So it is
sometimes
a fine
be.
line.
There's a fine line there, and I'm guilty of it too. So for those of you out there, if you are a fellow, I love looking at cute animal videos. I'm right there. A de-stressor for sure. Zian. So you spoke about like the fact that with the body and the mind and how important it is to take those moments. How do you find moments of so that you don't burn out, like the battery analogy, so that you don't give into hustle culture?
I think recently I've started like declaring off days. I think I don't used to do
Smart.
that. I go like, bam, bam, bam. And because the nature of my work, when I do training, we train on weekends. And then when it comes to weekdays, I feel guilty. Like to put it like outright, I feel guilty when I go like, on leave on a Monday. I'm like, no,
Mhm.
like, aren't we supposed to work on Monday? So I end up doing all the, the follow up, the work, and then I go like, hang on, then it means that we don't even get a rest. So that's why I think when I start like declaring, when I say declaring, I'm just telling myself or maybe a close friend, oh, it's my off day today. So I get to do what I do. I get to, do things what other people usually do on weekends and then not feeling the guilt. I think that, not feeling guilty and able to rest completely. I think that's just a like life's pleasure.
Yeah. Well, I do have an additional question for you before I kind of give an example of what I do to get into non-hustle culture. Behind me, as you can see, I have an art station here now.
Beautiful.
Painting is one of those things that I feel can really get you out of hustle culture because it allows you to be creative. And for all of you out there who are thinking, well, I'm not an artist, like how I can't even draw, I can't even like dot dot dot. It doesn't take much for you to put on a piece of canvas and just go nuts and wild with it. You can just take the paint and literally like smudge it all over the place, put your
Hmm.
hands in it, and just like have fun with
I
it.
just enjoy.
And just enjoy the feeling of creating something. And for those of you out there who aren't comfortable with that medium, there are so many ways, creative wise, that you can get your emotions out, you can get your stress out. I mean, like I said, right now this is the perfect time for me with everything, and I'm sure all of you out there can relate. So much going on in the world right now all at one time, where I feel it can get overwhelming, where you just want to turn off the TV, turn off the internet, whatever it is that
Please,
is making,
yes.
yeah, and just focus on one thing that brings you peace.
Yes.
Find it, because it is so important mentally, because you don't want to overwhelm your senses too much with all of the stuff that is going around you, and give yourself 5 or 10 minutes, a half hour, like Zian
Yeah.
says, an off day where maybe you leave a couple of hours early from work one day. Maybe you
Yes,
decide
that's
to
right. Or
take
half
an
a
extended,
day.
yeah, or you decide to take a vacation like you, Zian said, where you maybe have an extended weekend. where you decide to go to a spa, where you decide to go to the park and just sit
Mhm.
there. There's a beautiful botanical garden not too far from where I am, and that is the one place that I love to go sit and
Wow.
on the grass just to feel the grass and just sit. It is so quiet.
Yeah,
So that is
that's
another thing.
beautiful.
Find moments of peace and silence for yourself. That and
And
Zian,
yeah, and
oh,
I
go ahead.
think that's the probably you're the only person who will know what brings you joy in that moment of, trying to reclaim rest, because maybe for you it's painting, for another it's cycling, or another
Mm-hmm.
person is maybe just walking the dog.
Mm-hmm.
I recently got into a new hobby, which is enjoying my garden and plant. My kids call me plant lady right now, but I love
Love it.
it. Just, being able to water the plants. That's just so
Mhm.
therapeutic, just looking at them grow and then watering them. It's amazing. I love it.
And the beauty of what you're doing is not only are you finding peace, but you're also bringing life into this world. That's the
Yeah.
way I feel about like gardening in general is not only are you watering yourself by watering
Mm.
the garden, but you're also bringing like more nature into this world, more oxygen,
Yeah.
the beauty of it. So beautiful, Zian. So, one last thing for those of us who find it hard to unplug.
Mm.
What recommendation do you have for somebody who finds it difficult to unplug?
I would say for those that are, hustling right now. So I'm guessing when you're hustling, you've got a pack calendar. So for me to get into that mode, I would think to even schedule it in the calendar to rest. I probably said this a few times, but like literally in the calendar, like rest or, watch on Netflix and ignore those comments around you that, people, if they say things like, oh, are you watching Netflix or are you getting a rest day or like, oh, no meetings today, like just ignore those lines. Sometimes
Yeah.
whatever people say is not a reflection of you but a reflection of themselves.
Absolutely. Deanne, thank you so much for that beautiful recommendation there. And to all of you out there, I'm so glad you could join us for today's Lotus Chat episode 91. I can't believe we're almost to 100, guys. So if you have been with us from the start, from day one,
Yes,
and you're
thank
still
you.
here with us, thank you.
Yeah.
We want to send you a big hug. And we cannot wait to see how, we develop this channel, this YouTube channel a lot more for you guys in the future. If you know anybody who would like to join us in our chats,
Yeah.
please let us know. We would love to have like a joint, conversation with you about any topic that they are curious about. If you have one you're curious about, we have Lotus Chat at Worldwide at LotusChatWorldwide at gmail.com, where you can send us all your topics of, that you would want us to discuss. And we are also found on Instagram. Please look for us at Lotus Chat Worldwide on Instagram. And definitely subscribe to us if you're not already, because, like I said, we love doing this for you guys. Thank you so much for your continued support. And we look forward to seeing you in our next episode, guys.
See
We'll
you
see you next
soon.
time.